Flipping through the channels, all I see is gray. Drowning in the monotone, no escape today. But I need a haircut, break the static's hold. Losing nuggets, time it bites, the score is told.
Hey, you guys, it's Mo from Mo in the Deep End, and it looks like we might finally have, well, at least some answers, some conclusions, some closure, allegedly in Minecraft, about Gene Hackman's, well, cause of death, final days, any of it. And I have waited a long time because these are finally official results and not, everyone guessing, what it could be. So let's get into this. Gene Hackman's final autopsy reportedly indicates that the actor had not eaten for an extended period of time prior to his death in February. Now, the official report from the Office of the Medical Examiner in New Mexico showed that Hackman had trace amounts of acetone in his system. The STARS toxicology test showed acetone levels at 5.3 milligrams per deciliter, which is consistent with, prolonged fasting, according to Fox News and the medicalologists out there. So, this is not something that is unheard of, though, when you have dementia, when you are suffering late stage dementia, for patients to, refuse to eat, forget to drink, really have a hard time maintaining both caloric density and input, and even hydration is a big problem. Reminding to drink, getting compliance with drinking, and, hydration can be incredibly difficult in the later stages of dementia. So it's not, to say that there is anything nefarious going on about that, but that is something that is hard to kind of encourage during later stages. Now, the solvent can be a product of diabetic and fasting induced ketoacidosis, as well as metabolite following isoprofenol ingestion, according to the report. Now, the autopsy also confirmed that Hackman had a history of congestive heart failure and severe chronic hypertensive changes in his kidneys. He was not a well man. He was an older man. He had a lot of, lifelong or long-term health issues. So while it is good to be getting sort of all of these answers, I wish there hadn't been the crazy amount of speculation and craziness. Although, to find two people mummified in their homes 3 weeks later, I can imagine that there were all sorts of thoughts going through the investigators' heads. I just wish we, as a people, as a society, and I do know I am calling myself out, we could wait just a hot second, and let the autopsy report come out before we say it was hantavirus or, craziness. Now, I think that was his wife, but still, carbon monoxide, hantavirus, you know, if we could have all just waited just a hot minute for reports, that would have been, acceptable, I would hope. Now, so we did know that. The medical investigators report also noted neurodegenerative features consistent with Alzheimer's disease. So again, these were things that we did know that he had. Now, New Mexico officials previously revealed that Hackman and his wife, Betty Arkawa's cause of death during a press conference in March. The actor died of a hypertensive and atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease, with advanced Alzheimer's disease being a contributing factor. Now, there was no food in his stomach, per the autopsy performed on February 27th, revealing that he had probably not eaten for a while before his death. Look, I'm not a doctorologist. I don't know how long your stomach takes to empty, so they can fairly say that he didn't eat anything. Now, Arkawa, meanwhile, died from hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, HPS, a rare rodent transmitted virus. Now, Hackman did test negative for the virus, so It is believed that the classical pianist died on February 12th, while the Royal Tenenbaum actor likely died on February the 18th when his pacemaker last showed signs of activity. So it does seem like maybe his wife and caretaker passed away first. And unfortunately, because he didn't have, his wife and support reminding him to eat, drink, and with dementia, it can be very easy for them to not remember certain things like that. I mean, with my mother-in-law, we had to constantly remind her to drink, and she didn't really want to eat towards the end. So these are not things that are atypical, but it is very sad that unfortunately, he was probably there very confused, disorientated, dehydrated because his wife passed before him. Now, officials believe that Hackman had been unknowingly living with his wife, his wife's dead body for days. Again, this is not uncommon, but he was fairly deep into Alzheimer's. Excuse me. Now, at the time, Chief Medical Examiner Dr. Heather Gerald said it was quite possible that Hackman did not know that Arkawa had passed due to his mental state. The couple's partially mummified bodies were discovered in separate rooms of their extremely cluttered home February 25th. Hackman was 95 when he passed away, and his wife was 65. So, again, not things that are incredibly, bombshelly, but the truth, and the truth has to get out there. And this seems like an incredibly sad story of, a man who was so deeply into Alzheimer's that he didn't realize that his wife needed help or was passed away. And that is just such a sad thing to realize that this probably happened to someone who was in a lot of the movies that I used to love, the Royal Tenenbaum. Well, I mean, I still like them, but the Superman movies, Lex Luthor, I mean, he was my original Lex Luthor. And, just a lot of movies that, were kind of ubiquitous in my childhood. I mean, I can't really name them all right now because my brain doesn't always, remember movie stuff like it used to. But it is sad, and I think it does remind us, if this case has taught us anything, it is to wait, take a breath, a deep breath, all of us, and let's wait for, all the answers because, as interesting and as weird as it was to cover that he might have, died of carbon monoxide poisoning, of the hantavirus, of, aliens, we don't know. I can't imagine what it was like for his family not to have answers and have it splashed all over the media with everyone speculating and coming up with different ideas, true, not true, based in fact, based in whatever the heck. So I hope that this has taught us to, wait for answers. That's what I'm attempting to do. You might notice that I am trying to only give you guys updates to stories when they have come through an official manner. Look, I'm still a redhead who wears wonderful bandanas and worked way too hard, but now has improvements for Lawyer on a Stick. Yes, Lawyer on a Stick. It's a prototype. I have figured out improvements that I want to make, but I like it. Lawyer on a Stick. Yes, Mr. Moe is afraid and terrified for my sanity, but what can you do? That being said, I do have some ideas to make this better. So, yes, I got to play with glue sticks and paint and, well, sticks all weekend. So, yes, I am working on that. I hope you guys are having a lovely day. Thanks for spending just a couple minutes with me. If you like this video, please do all of the YouTubey things. I don't like to ask, but YouTube does tell us to ask you guys for the algorithm and all that jazz, majazz. Anywho, as always, thanks for sharing your time with me. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire because kindness doesn't equal doormat. I will see you all in a little bit. Bye, my lovelies.